Soul 3 by Wdowski, 2025. Chapter 13. The small group, by mid-afternoon, reached the first human settlement north of Ridgeline Inn. Unlike the western settlements, it was still occupied by a human family. Their livestock were all alive and well. Dale looked across the New Angle River and did not see any signs of any opposing forces or even Zachary's. All was a peaceful northeastern fall day. A man in his 40s approached them. The farmer had a pitchfork in hand. He had just been hauling hay into his barn, stocking up for the winter. The farmer was in shock, seeing Dale with a Neethton, Quadtron, and the fairies. "Pearl!" he called out to the farmhouse behind him. A dark-skinned woman in her early 30s, covered in flour, came out of the farmhouse. "What?" she shouted, with 3 mixed-race children in tow, a 6-year-old boy, an 8-year-old girl, and a 10-year-old girl. She froze, seeing Dale and his companions approaching up the road. "Fairies!" the 2 girls excitedly shouted. "Fairies?" their younger brother questioned. Dale and Zup rode up to the family. The fairies hovered above them as Josh walked alongside. "A well-written day to you," Josh smiled. Stunned, the farmer hesitated to reply. "Thanks." "Ma, can we play with the fairies?" asked the older girl. "Can we keep them?" asked the younger daughter. Their mother looked down at them. "Hush now." "Ah," they whined, disappointed. Their mother gave them a stern, disapproving look. The children stopped their whining. The boy, knowing his mother's silent glare, instinctively covered his piku with his hands, as if to protect it from a spanking. "Greetings, I am Dale from East Riverton." The farmer focused on Dale, trying to ignore Dale's alien companions. "I am Richard." "You are aware of the Zachary's demonoid and Goric activities?" Zup asked. "Is there?" Richard seemed worried as he turned to his wife. "Perhaps bring the children back inside." "Pa, we want to see the fairies," the eldest protested. "Not now." Her mother placed her hand on the girl's upper back. Using her hand, she gently guided her eldest and the other children back into the house. "You didn't have any riders come up this way to warn you?" Dale questioned, a bit surprised. "Most of the settlements in the area have been merging at East Riverton. The western settlements have all been evacuated. There have not been any riders." He looked back up at Dale. "Should we be concerned? You may want to consider relocating your family further east or to East Riverton," Dale suggested. "How many human homesteads are in this area?" "About 20 families," Richard answered, but his thoughts seemed more preoccupied with the idea of abandoning his farm. "To the north is the Anubis wall." He looked behind him. "Most of the other human farms are just a bit east of here." "None on the western side of the river?" Dale asked. "No. The only bridge that crosses the river in this area is in Anubis territory. Closest crossing for humans is the bridge at the Sunrise to Sunset Turnpike intersection." "We are aware of it," Dale replied. "I have forces securing it now. More on the way. Your family would be safe there on your way to East Riverton." "Have any contact with the Anubis?" asked Zup. The farmer was confused by his question, as if Zup was asking something even his 6-year-old knew the answer to. "Of course not. They have nothing to do with the outside world. Their entire territory is walled in. There is a gate at the end of the Great North Road, about an hour ride from here. But they never open it. They never let anyone in, and they never venture out." "Understood. Do you mind if we make camp here for the night?" Dale requested. He took out a silver coin to offer the farmer. The farmer shook his head, rejecting the offer. "No need. You are all welcome to stay the night. We would be happy to have you all break bread with us. We don't often have visitors, especially such unique and special visitors as you and your companions. The great author has written you with a very good and generous soul," Josh responded. With his hand still offering the silver coin, Dale replied, "It is a very kind offer, but I insist you accept our coin. For your children." Richard thought, then reached up and took the silver ounce. "Thank you. For the children." Morning. Before they left, Dale requested that Richard reach out to the other humans in the area. They should all be warned to evacuate further east with their families, or join the humans at East Riverton. Any men and older boys that are willing to help take back Littlefields can join up with my men at the Sunrise to Sunset Bridge crossing. I will ride out immediately and spread the word." Richard, wishing them good travels, shook hands good-bye with all of them before he went to his barn to saddle his horse. The children wanted to hug Pixa and Bruce good-bye. The fairies were not comfortable with being hugged, so Pixa instead used her wand to give them tickles. Uncontrollably, the children began to laugh. Over their laughter, they begged her, "Stop, stop." When she did stop, all three children immediately responded, "Do it again, do it again." She did it for them one last time, before she and Bruce had to say their goodbyes and fly off to join the others, whom had already started north on the road. The wall. Now that is what I call a wall. Dale looked up at the heavy stone wall that the road ended at. The wall was 50 feet high and went west to the river and far to the east, traveling up and beyond the nearest hills. Before them were two large solid wood and bronze doors. The doors were at least 12 feet high and were the same width as the road that disappeared behind them. Above the doors, carved into the stone, were ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Below the hieroglyphs was writings in Neethish script, and below the Neethish was written in English. Dale read the English out loud. "Go away. Kuwea." Zup read the Neethish. "Go away," he translated. Bruce informed them the ancient Egyptian also read, "Go away." "Very different than a welcome mat," stated Dale. Josh was very impressed. "May you teach me to read some day?" Zup smiled and responded, "I would be happy to teach you Neethish. If we survive this, I'll ask Captain Teacher to teach you to read and write," Dale responded. "You have truly been written to be wonderful friends." Josh was extremely happy with their offers. Dale dismounted, handing his reins to Josh to hold. He walked up to the massive wood doors. He turned and faced the others as he stood by the door. "They have a door, so they cannot be that reclusive." Dale faced the door, searching for a knocker or pull cord for a bell. Seeing none, he used his fist to knock. No response. He knocked harder. He then knocked even harder. One knock, 4 rapid knocks, a slight pause, and 2 harder knocks. There was still no answer. "Anyone home?" Dale shouted at the door. Frustrated, he stepped back and looked up at the 50-foot wall. He then asked Pixa and Bruce, "Can you fly over the top? See if anyone is home?" Pixa and Bruce both looked up, shook their heads in the negative. "That is even too high for us," Bruce explained. "It is not like we have large feathered wings. We're not angels." "None of us are," Dale stated. Josh walked up to Dale and handed the reins to his horse back to him. "Let me try." Dale took his horse's reins and stepped back to where the others were. Josh stepped up to the large doors and, using all 4 of his fists, began forcefully and loudly banging. As he drummed away, a speakeasy hatch on the door suddenly opened inward. It was at the 5.5-foot height level of the door. The door was just big enough for a head to peek through. "Can't you read? It's in 3 languages." A creature with the head of a jackal looked up at Josh. "Oh, a Quadtron. Of course you can't read." "What do you want, Quadtron?" The Anubis was a very dark purple. His eyes were very human-like, with light purple pupils. Josh stepped away from the door so the Anubis could see the others. The Anubis spotted the fairies hovering near Dale and Zup. The Anubis seemed embarrassed, quickly withdrew his head from the speakeasy hatch and latched it shut. "Well, you got their attention at least," Dale mentioned. "They don't seem very tall," pointed out Zup. "You sure they could be helpful, even if they are willing to?" "They are written to be taller than demonoids at least," Josh responded. Only a few moments later, the large doors began to make unlocking and unbolting sounds. With a loud creaking, the heavy doors slowly inwardly swung open. The open doors revealed farmlands and grazing fields of sheep and cattle. At the far end of the road was a limestone city with pyramids. The pyramids all had gold capstones. Standing in formation on both sides of the road, Anubis warriors stood at attention. They all wore matching shiny bronze breastplate armor and bronze shin guards on their lower legs. All were barefoot. Their feet were paw-like, not human. On their left arms they held large oval-shaped bronze shields. The image of a winged humanoid was pressed onto each of their shields. In their right hands, they armed themselves with 7-foot-long pikes. The pikes had sharp bronze tips that glistened in the sunlight. On their hips were sheathed sickle-shaped bronze kopeshs. The Anubis that had poked his head through the speakeasy hatch earlier stepped forward and approached Pixa and Bruce. He dropped to one knee and placed his right human-like fist over his heart. The warriors behind him all suddenly also dropped to one knee and bowed their heads. He looked up at Pixa, ignoring the others. "Welcome." Josh turned to Dale and Zup and smiled. "I guess our children's stories are canon."